Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barrens Chat podcast. I'm Saad, and with me today is my co-host Guck. This is a podcast about World of Warcraft by two guys who play it.
This episode of Barrens Chat Podcast is brought to you by Maxi Pads. When most people hear Maxi, they think feminine products, but not anymore. With Maxi Pads, you can sit in your own filth, and these pads will sop up all that nasty gamer drippings you produce during Classic. Go to iwantmaxi.com/barrens to get 5% off your lifetime order of Maxi Pads.
All right, this episode is going to be kind of different than normal. We're 1 week into Classic, and we have a special guest on. We have Thragg with us tonight. Thragg, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, guys. How about yourself?
Good. What'd you think about the launch night, and how'd your first week of Classic go?
I think actually launch night was, I was able to log in, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was a hurdle for so many people.
Yeah, so we got past that hurdle, but then when it came down to questing, that was a whole other thing.
Yeah, it was like people would get in, and then everyone was excited about getting in, but then once you got in, you had to compete with literal troves of people just trying to all tag a plane strider. They have to tag a boar, they have to tag a scorpion. It was chaotic, but imagining that without layering would have been insanity.
Oh, absolutely. So I've seen worse releases, so I like.
Yeah, I think I kind of fucked myself on opening night. Like, I skipped the entire Valley of Trials, and then when I was like trying to push to level 10 so I could go to the Barrens, I had nothing to do and I had to grind out like 2 levels. It was not a pleasant experience. I wanted to quit so bad, but I stuck with it.
Yeah, I luckily, as a warrior, I got to have a partner with me that first time. And duo leveling as a warrior is almost a necessity, especially if you're going to be a Tauren. Mulgore has so much running around, everything's so spread out. It was a huge hassle, and I can't imagine having done it solo.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, as a hunter, I leveled for a little bit by myself, and pre-level 10 hunter leveling, I kind of forgot what a hurdle that was. Not having a pet, that's a fiasco to say the least.
What was your first pet?
My first pet, I actually ran back all the way to Echo Isles and got myself a cat.
There we go.
I wanted that 1.0 attack speed, but he was very quickly replaced with a turtle from the Oasis, the stagnant Oasis, and that's been my go-to.
That's something that I really enjoy about Classic is seeing the hunters taming different pets because you can tell when you find a role player when they've tamed like one of those rare pets that actually isn't that great for combat, but they've got a unique skin or something like that. I
Yeah,
think
like
that's cool.
agreed. Like you see a lot of hunters running around with the Echiyaki or Ekiyaki.
Yeah, the white cat, right?
Yeah, exactly. That thing's beautiful, but it doesn't really do much. It's just got the cat buff. That's about it.
Now, first week, like, would you say that you guys hit your goals? Like, as far as, I mean, the game's been out for pretty much exactly 1 week now. Did it go about as you expected? Did you get to the level you wanted to get to inside the first week? How did it go for you?
I'll handle this one first. So I was not really set on a certain specific level after a week. I was more set on I want to be just back in love with the game. And that 100% happened and then some. I'm enjoying finding the zone that I need to go to. I'm enjoying all the walking time. I still enjoy that because it's more time for me to like read my quest log, figure out where I'm going, figure out what's the best course of action to deal with stuff. Nothing is handed to you. All of your gold matters. All of your time matters. Where you go matters. It's been so impactful, every single choice that I've made. And that coupled with the linear power creep of vanilla has been so rewarding. Like the fact that you get these tiny kind of spikes at like level 10, 20, 30, etc. But for the most part, it's been an incredible run.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one, especially I think we were talking about that in Discord just last night. The whole power creep situation where even like as you know, you get the big power spikes, your 10, 20 and whatnot, but even just how satisfying it is doing a quest and being 25 and getting your just rocked, and then coming back and being 26 and you're just like, all right, well, I'm actually hitting you now, so that helps. That feels good.
As a tank going into a dungeon that you're not ready for, it is painfully obvious on the first mob when your taunt is resisted and then your heroic strike is parried and then they dodge your revenge and you never get a hit
Oh,
off on the mob.
I it's funny because it's different, but I have the same problem where if I'm trying to find something or fight something out of my level range, I'll go in with my pet and it's taunt and first hit will be resisted and dodged, and I'll just immediately pull aggro, and it's just like, oh, that's not how I wanted this to go. But
Yeah, did you have like a point where you wanted to be in a week?
honestly, no. I just wanted to not fall off was my thing. I tend to do that sometimes through expansions here and there through leveling. I just kind of get bored or over it and I just give up. And I feel like right now being level 27, I can definitely be proud of that.
That's totally good. And I think especially on our server, I'm kind of glad that we made the move to Crom Crush because not only is the population totally great, it gets up to full during peak hours just like any other server, but we don't have to wade through a 20,000 person queue to get on like Herod or Whitemane or Fairlina. And coupled with that, since we don't have these awful queues, we don't have a ton of incredibly sweaty neckbeards who have already started stockpiling for the AQ event. We're gonna have a pretty legitimate classic experience on this server.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've accepted the fact that I'm definitely not going to be the guy that opens the gates of AQ, but it's going to be real fucking cool to be there when it happens.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll like be doing much AQ. I mean, I'm definitely gonna try and raid every night, but I think the thing I'm most looking forward to in Classic is Phase 3. Once those BGs come out, I'm so pumped to just get in there and hang out with the boys, grind honor, and just kill some alliance. I think that's gonna be probably the most fun that we're gonna have in Classic as a group.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. That's what I'm most looking forward to, at least. That's going to be amazing.
Speaking of killing Alliance, as a hunter, what are some of the like quintessential things that you've started to do when PvPing out in the world? And have you had much opportunity to PvP?
So I actually have, especially now that I'm hitting the high 20s, you're entering zones more like I leveled a lot in Thousand Needles and Ashenvale, and it's just constant P. I'm in Taran Mill right now. I've been ganked like 3 times. One thing I've noticed is that I set myself up for trying to level as easy as possible, and now I'm missing stuff like aimed shot or like the in the first rung of marksmanship, you can
Scatter
go
shot.
up to you well yeah, scatter shot is amazing. In the first rung of marksmanship, improved concussive shot lets you have an up to 20% chance to stun people with your concussive shot, which I think is insane.
Yeah, that'd be huge for PvP. I think that's why I haven't done it. I switched to AoE spec, so I totally get myself with PvP, but it's been working for me in dungeons. I don't think you've tried any of the dungeon grinding Thragg, but Guck and I did it for about 4 hours yesterday, and I streamed it, and I don't to anybody that did that from like 20 to 60, like all the power to you. That was 4 hours. And I'd say we were pretty good with it. Like we had pretty thorough clears, but holy crap, was that boring? And I don't think I get. I'm kind of glad. Like I wanted to be 40 by the end of the week, and I'm 35 right now. I'm definitely gonna stop at 35, and I probably won't be on too much over the next couple days, but. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with my progress. I've taken time to do professions. I've helped out a couple buddies. This whole this whole thing has just been way better. Like this whole classic experience has been awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially now, back when I first played Classic, I played a Night Elf Druid because the buddy who got me into it was Alliance, so that's what I made. But he got me into it and then just played with his guild, and I didn't really. have anyone to play with, so that's all that was. So I didn't really know anything about professions until much later in the game, and it feels good to get that leveled up as I'm leveling up.
Yeah, like we mentioned it earlier, gold in the economy is such an important aspect of the game that if you don't keep your professions up, you're gonna kind of set yourself back, especially right when you hit 40. If you don't have the gold for your mount, that directly affects your leveling speed because that mount cuts down so much on your travel time, which saves a lot of the time between levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with aspect of the cheetah and everything, that mount is just it's game changing really.
How are you guys doing economically right now?
I found a decent enough farm where I can kind of do some questing for gold. Plus, I'll be targeting specific drops. So right now, as a warrior who just dinged 30, I'm doing my Cyclonian quest, and one of the hardest parts of the Cyclonian quest is getting charms that drop off of elementals in Arathi Highlands. So now that I have all of the ones that I need, I can go back to Arathi with my Whirlwind Axe once I eventually get it, which will definitely be today, and farm out more of those charms to sell to other warriors because right now a ton of warriors are hitting 30 and they're all looking to start the Cyclonian quest. So for me, the charm farming is going to be my next big break in gold. But right now, I'm not poor, but I'm not wealthy. I'm still at like maybe 10 gold and I float obviously up and down with that as you buy skills and as you complete quests and whatnot.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would say. I definitely sit at around 8 to 10 gold while doing quests and leveling stuff up. But what I'm really looking forward to is I've spent a little more than gold than I should have just power leveling my leatherworking to try to make it to 150 as soon as possible. Because I feel like there's definitely a good market in selling the improved hunter quiver.
Saad, you've been making a lot of money doing your professions, right? You've been going pretty deep into tailoring.
Yeah, so my tailoring is at 176 right now. I could probably spend a little bit of money, get it up to 225, and make the 12 slot bags. And I just checked what they were selling for. It's roughly like 2 gold. So I think I could turn a small profit on that, but I'm a little nervous to make
Make the investment.
the investment. Yeah, it's so I'm at 30 gold right now. Like I need probably like another 60, 65 to be able to get my mount and I'm 5 levels away. But this morning I was at like 10 gold, so I made like 20 gold today. So I think I'm in good shape and I don't know if I'm going to risk an investment right now when I'll be 40 probably by the end of the week and hopefully cruising around on my Raptor.
That wrap.
It's tough. It's tough to make an investment right now just because you don't know what direction it's gonna go in because it's so new and our server is as Horde we don't even have a level 60 yet. I don't know about the Alliance, but there's a warrior that's like 58 on Horde. I think that's really cool that everyone on our server is pretty much in the same spot. I'm kind of glad I'm not on a server right now that's already cleared Molten Core and Onyxia. I just think that I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess it would be cool, but I'm not. We're not that hardcore gamers, and I think it's cool to just have everybody be around the same leveling area, and it's also cool because I've made a bunch of friends. I don't know about you guys. Like, I've already made 2 or 3 friends. That one of the guys I did the dungeon grinding with yesterday. I saw him this morning in SM Library. He was talking to me, asking about you, Guck. Where you were because we needed a tank. So yeah, I think it's definitely cool to kind of have that server reputation back with like people that you come across, and it's unique to classic WoW, and you definitely don't get that in retail.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Especially as a tank, because when you tank well for people and they remember it, you get into groups like so much easier. I actually was lucky enough to get into Scarlet Monastery way before I was ready with you, Sod. We had a very ideal comp, double mage warlock for just crazy graveyard farming. But I was level 29. I dinged 30 in the graveyard, and I think Graveyard is like a 31 to 33 level instance. So that, that community reputation can open the door to a lot of opportunities that you would otherwise not be able to access.
Thragg, you got anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, one of my favorite things about that has been I actually haven't really done much dungeon grinding, so I can't really say anything to that. But it's been cool to see like where you're questing and you'll come across someone that's about to die and you'll just help a homie out and they'll just shoot you the hey thanks or they'll toss you a buff or whatever and then you'll be in the hot zone about to get mauled by some mobs and someone will come across and help you out and they're just like hey thought you needed the help. That's just that's something that doesn't happen anymore and it makes the game more fun. It's just unexpected help.
Yeah, that unexpected help almost never happens in other types of games outside of MMOs. And then even within the MMO world, it's become like MMO games have become more and more catered towards an individual and an individual's experience as opposed to kind of this group and community experience.
Yeah, exactly. It defeats. You're pretty much just playing a single player MMO where you see other people, as opposed to playing a straight up MMO where you're just all like one. That's one of my favorite things. Where, as much as I wish the classes were a little more balanced as far as it came to damage and everything, it's cool to see classes have
Their niche.
their souls back. They're just exactly their niche. Hunters do a certain thing, mages do a certain thing, and no other class can fill that role. And that feels really cool to have back.
Yeah, and I don't expect to be in like a min max guild that's gonna take like 12 warriors to a raid. I expect more or less to just be in a guild that's like, all right, we have 40 people, so we're gonna go with this. And I think that's cool. Like everybody's gonna have their job on a pole, and if everybody does it well, then the boss is gonna die. You don't have to optimize to kill all these bosses. You just have to perform well, and that's something that is cool. I mean, you do see it with like the min maxing guilds that are gonna go for like the race clears to see how fast they can clear it, and that's fine. And there's definitely a market for that. But at the same point, I just want to clear the content, especially because I didn't see it while it was relevant, and here it is. It's relevant again. I expect it to be way easier now because obviously we have 15 years experience in an MMO, in this MMO specifically, and it's just going to be something like we're not going to be raiding every day. I'm not going to be farming dire mall and all that stuff endlessly. I'm definitely gonna farm it and try to get my best in slot, but I'm not gonna be doing it 5 6 times a day. I'm just gonna play the game and enjoy myself, and I don't really feel any pressure to perform. And the rotations and the PVEs definitely gonna get stale because it's not overly complex, but it is pretty cool, and that's the best way to get gear. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to the PvP, and the raid gear is totally relevant in that. So I mean, that's basically what I'm going to be raiding for. And even if I don't get gear before everybody else in the guild, like that's fine. I'm just pumped to be gaming with. I like we weren't gonna make a guild, and we have 50 people in our guild right now. We have 18 people online. Like that's nuts. So and everybody's active. So I think that's really cool, and that's something that we definitely weren't expecting. We just made this guild to see everybody's level, and here we are. Everybody's grinding away.
Yeah, honestly, it worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I definitely was expecting the same thing, just making the guild to, all right, we can keep track of each other's levels instead of being like, hey, what level are you guys?
Yeah, I don't expect to raid with as this guild, but we there's a few guilds forming. I don't know how many of them are serious. The server's so young, but I expect to find another guild to raid with, and that's fine. I think that'll be cool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just get your foot out into the community, essentially.
So we haven't really talked too much about classes specifically, but Thrag, something that you brought up that you wanted to get into is kind of the class asymmetry that exists in vanilla. This is something that I mean Ian Hezekosis has come out right and said that they have over pruned classes by BFA, right? And classes are largely homogenous. They don't have a lot of special flair to them. And the class feels kind of like if you're a melee DPS, you just feel like a melee DPS. You don't feel like a warrior or a rogue. And if you do, it just pales in comparison to how you feel playing these specific characters in Classic. So what are your kind of thoughts around the asymmetrical class design that is Classic?
So Classic had the thing where you play a hunter and you feel like a hunter. It By the time retail did its thing, hunters are you go down the survival tree and you have these abilities. You go down the tree and you have those abilities. In Classic, you have all of them and you can specialize some. So you have full use of your kit, and really makes you feel like, you lay down your trap, you shoot your shot, you have your pet doing damage, it's tanking, you can feign death. It makes you feel more like your class than right now. If you log on to retail, you make a hunter, you just start with a pet next to you, and it's just like, oh cool, I have a pet. That's rad. And you just shoot arrows, as opposed to right now, as much as they are stat sticks, it was cool as a hunter to have access to wing clip and raptor strike without having to go into the survival tree, because you need that. Things are going to come in your face and you need to and you need to be able to wing clip them out of there just to be able to get that concussive blow in.
Yeah, nice. I caught that, by the way. Yeah, dude, I think it's fucking great. It's important that your class isn't limited. It's important that you have access to everything, and it's up to you what you do with it. Like right now, if I wanted, sure, I could throw a couple points into protection, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not an idiot. I want to level up quickly, so I'm going to put all my points into arms or fury. Like it's just fun to have the ability to characterize my tune in any way that I want.
Yeah, agreed. Like I was leveling with Chao Bao and Reshi last night, and all three of us were hunters, but they specialized more into the marksmanship tree, where I specialized more into the beast mastery. And I have a turtle, and they had DPS pets, so they were pumping out way more damage than I was. But by the end of it, my pet would be either the only one alive or have all the aggro on it because it's got like 1800 armor.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but think about what retail is right now. Like, if you logged in and you rated on retail, what does your class have? It has combo points that you build up, a big cooldown that you blow when you have full combo points. You have a 3 minute DPS cooldown. Everybody has a defensive. Every class is essentially the same, minus a little bit of like different abilities here or there. Like obviously, they're like specific classes are better at some things, but for the most part, every class plays pretty much the exact same way. Whereas in Classic right now, if I'm fighting a hunter, it's entirely different than if I'm fighting a rogue or a paladin or anything like that. Like every matchup is different. Whereas in retail, it's more or less everybody has the same stuff. It's like, oh, this guy just blew his DPS cooldown. It comes down to who has their cooldowns up or not.
Yeah, everybody's got a CC, everybody's got a way out of the CC. There's not really much to it other than can you use your CC and can you break their CC?
Yeah, that's one of the things that ties into the kind of classic vanilla raid versus retail raid difficulty argument. Like obviously vanilla raids are a lot easier in terms of their mechanics and what you're actually doing, but one of the things you have to consider, the kit that your character has to work with is so much less developed than a retail character's kit, where in retail almost everyone's got some AoE damage they can pump out if they need to. You've got a mobility that you can use to escape a mechanic. So even though there's more mechanics and the fights themselves in isolation are more difficult, you also have a lot more that you can use to deal with those issues. So it's always going to be this kind of apples and oranges comparison. It's never going to be a clear cut and dry distinction. But the other thing that I want to talk about with this, Blizzard started with these classes and took some of the asymmetries out, kind of expansion by expansion, patch by patch. And a lot of that probably comes from places where people feel it's largely unfair. So, in this first week, have you guys noticed anything that feels unfair as far as class balance?
No.
Yes and no. No, in the sense that I'm enjoying the way the classes work. Yes, in the sense that I'm an early level hunter. So right now, if I'm out in the world and a warrior or a rogue gets on me, the hunter dead zone is something that I completely forgot about. And being slowed and not being able to get out of that dead zone is just, I mean, without scatter shot or disengage or anything like that, you're just, it's over.
Yeah, I'd say it's like PvP in this game is based on being in a well synergized team, right? Like, yeah, I was playing with Chow Bao the other night, and he had an alliance come on him, got in his dead zone, and I frost nova'd. He kited away, and then he was able to shoot, and I think that's what makes this game great. Like, it's not, I mean, obviously you got to be out solo every once in a while. You're not always going to have people on, but it's one of those things where it's like, you have a squad that you play with, you have your team, and that's what makes you great. That you could be an individually great player, but I think like if you have a great team, a well synergized team that knows how to play well with each other, I think that's what makes this game awesome, and I think that's why it's such a huge success.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Just the fact that you can add to each other as opposed to just all being there to either tank, DPS, or heal. Just your
Yeah,
classes
yeah.
add to the synergy that you provide.
This game wasn't ever perfectly balanced, and nobody's ever said that it was, and it likely never will be. But I think right now it's not in a place where they're trying to be balanced. It's just in the place where it was, where everybody's unique, and it's cool. Personally, if you ask me, I would say the Burning Crusade class design is better because it opens up the possibility for other specs. If whereas if you're playing a shaman, you can also DPS in either spec, or a paladin, you can tank or DPS. But this is what we have. It's classic. Eventually, it looks like Burning Crusade will be coming because classic has been such a huge success. I mean, Blizzard even offered a 110 boost on Battle for Azeroth for people who reach 60 in classic, which is crazy to me. It's like almost like they're like, oh, our game that we spend millions of dollars developing new content for isn't really doing that well, not nearly as well as classic is right now. So let's try to get these people back in Azeroth and in the new Azeroth.
It's not going to work for me. I know that.
Yeah,
No,
me either.
definitely not. Just because I feel like just in offering that, they completely miss out on what this is telling them. It's like they have this, they have an incredible amount of people playing an almost 15-year-old game as opposed to a game that they've spent, like you said, millions of dollars on. And instead of thinking about, I wonder why this is working better, they just go, we can give you a free character boost and you can come back. I don't. I hope this is at least giving them something to think about.
So, we're going to wrap up with some tweets. We've got a few tweets from some viewers, and I'm kind of excited to get into this viewer interactivity. You guys have been asking some really interesting questions. I've collected a few of them. Sod, why don't you go ahead and read that first tweet that we've got prepared?
All right, so loves to spooge asks, what classic zone are you most excited about? And for me, it was Hillsbrad, but now that I've already been there and kind of gone through it, I would say that I'm most excited to get back into Winter Spring. I think that's been one of my favorite zones, and I really haven't gone back there since before Cataclysm. So I'm pretty pumped up about that one.
Thragg, how about you?
I'm actually really excited to go into the Badlands so I can tame that rare cat because that's one of the best PvP pets you can get in Classic, and I've been really looking forward to get to that. Otherwise, Stranglethorn, I'm really looking forward to getting to.
I have to go with Feralus. I love the jungle aesthetic. I love when you go from Decitus into Feralus, just that instant change where you go from just like bleached white sand into, well, I mean it's not bleached white. I guess Teneris is more of that bleached white sand, but it's that gray off white, and then you just go down that ramp into Feralus from the north, and it's just lush jungle. Like that aesthetic is something that to me screams classic WoW.
That is a beauty. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's a great transition. I still remember because I didn't know the game back then, so I remember like making that transition and being like, okay, I've outleveled Decimus. Where are we going next? And then you just go into this completely different zone. You're just like, okay. I forget what the hub city is in that place too, but it's in like the middle of some like waterfalls and everything. That zone is beautiful. Agreed.
It's a beautiful zone. Yeah. All right. At I'm a Cougar asks, I just can't seem to find a strapping young lad willing to clean out my gutters. I don't think that's really a question at I'm a Cougar. I feel like that's kind of more of a statement. Um, I I don't know. Maybe Thragg could help you out, clean out your gutters. I don't really know. I don't know how that tweet got in there.
I do tend to do some gutter cleanings, so just I guess you know here we go. Other than that, I believe at Iunium he may be able to help.
Yeah, I know a few pipe fitters. I know a couple dudes who can fit a couple pipes for you if you're trying to get piped up. But I just don't know how that tweet got in here. Hey Thrag, do you want to read that third tweet we've got prepared?
Yeah, here let me at Molester Holt. When it comes to classic questing, you get quests like Cyclonian that aren't even appropriate for level 30, but you get it right at 30. Why do you think Blizzard has removed these kinds of quests from retail? Hmm. Do you want me to
Well,
take that first?
Yeah. What's your take on that?
I think it goes back into the thing where Blizzard has tried to more personalize this game instead of keeping it an MMO. They've tried to make the game more, oh, well, you can do this more yourself if it's easier.
Yeah, that like they've made it too much of a single player RPG as opposed to this, in an MMO where you need to rely on other people to get certain things accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. They've made it so that it sure it you can do it by yourself and that's cool, but it removed the social aspect of it. It removed the difficulty of this quest that gives you a really significant upgrade would require you obviously to have this crazy hurdle to leap.
yeah, that plus the scaling zones, right? So every quest that you get is at an appropriate level for you, which really limits your power progression on your character. So, what are you going to do?
And it entirely defeats, and specifically for Cyclonian, that entirely defeats the purpose of that quest. The point of that quest is for you to find a way to beat a level 40 elite mob at level 30. And the only way to do it is cooperation.
Which is that early in the game teaches you, yo, some of this shit is going to be really hard and you're going to have to go into general and be like, hey, is anyone on this same quest I am, or is anyone willing to help a brother out? And that's why like in retail you go online, and I don't remember when the last time in retail I spoke to a random.
Oh, because you don't need to. You never need to.
Oh yeah, why would I? There's no, I can either handle it myself or it's just like, it's whatever. But nowadays it's like a significant enough upgrade or, XP, what have you, that you need to do it and you need to get that person to help you, those people.
All right. Sod, go ahead and read our fourth tweet.
At Innkeeper Thulbeck, I've been getting into sounding lately, and I'm scared that I may have messed something up. Are you supposed to lose the rods entirely inside yourself, or am I doing it wrong?
Um, uh, I don't know. I think it may be up to you to determine how deep is too deep, right? Is this kind of a subjective question?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's just a more of a, what do you interpret as wrong?
Ah, yes, right. The definition of wrong is kind of up to you to decide. If it feels good, I would say you're doing it right. But if you have lost more than one rod, you should probably contact a physician.
Yeah, at that point, you may need some.
Maybe you could get a really strong magnet and try to draw it out that way if you've got magnetized sounding rods. Sod, you've got a lot of experience with sounding. What do you think?
I have no idea what that question is asking.
Hmm.
I think that's a great
Interesting.
suggestion for future listeners. If anything, if you're thinking about getting into sounding, make sure they're magnetic, just so you know. There's always a way out.
Wow. That's insightful. That's some fucking insightful commentary from Thragg. That okay. Oh, we're innkeeper at innkeeper Thalbeck. That's your answer. You need to get magnetized sounding rods. Clearly. All right. We've got one last tweet at Sagefish School for the Blind says. I think your fingers were off the home row there. I think you need to go back to a little bit of that auditory Mavis beacon. Can't understand you.
I like the 11 at the end.
Oh yeah they. Why you want to 11? Thank you. I appreciate the views. Sagefish School for the Blind. I understand that as a podcast, you guys probably listen in. Uh, maybe save the tweeting for Sagefish School for the Deaf. I don't know.
It goes back into cooperation, teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork, right? MMOs. Okay.
That's what we're all about here.
All right. So this has been a fantastic episode. Thragg, thank you so much for coming on with us. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to send out the podcast on?
No, I just hope everyone is enjoying Classic, and thank you for having me on. I'm really enjoy doing this.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back sometime. We're gonna try and make the rounds with guests in our guild and get people who are like crazy neckbearding it, people who are going kind of casual. I've got a friend who's actually experiencing WoW for their first time now in Classic, so I think their perspective might be a good one to get on the show. So we'll make the rounds and hopefully have you back on.
Yeah, please do. Just let me know. I'll be looking forward to listening to the other guildmates, because especially to the one who's experiencing Classic for the first time. It's I was actually watching I'm a Cutie Pie last night, and he's playing Classic, and he's also experiencing it for the first time. So that's a really funny perspective to get a look at.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a unique perspective that I don't think a lot of people have access to. Because if you're into the WoW community, you're into WoW like balls deep, usually.
Agreed.
Saad, any closing thoughts?
Nope, not that I know of. I don't think I streamed last week. It was actually pretty successful, so maybe I'll start doing it a little more. Guck, I don't think you streamed last week because you were concerned about disconnects, but check for the streams. The podcast is on iTunes. Check the website, submit questions, anything and everything that you want to hear us talk about, send it in.
Yep, and make sure to check us out at barrenschat.podbean.com. That's where we're going to be posting our episodes first. Later, we're going to add the audiograms to YouTube. And when we go live on Podbean, that's going to be automatically uploaded to iTunes. So make sure you subscribe to us there. And we'll see you next week.
One last quick shout out to Mang seat pads. Really helped the brother out this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to say, like, this is our 11th episode, and the fact that we already have a sponsor is amazing. So, yeah, thanks again to Manxy Pads. I know I have one in. Sod, you have an issue with kind of a leaky trapdoor, so I know you've got your Manxy Pad loaded up in there. They provided us with a nice sponsor shipment. I'm using mine, and it's not only comfortable, but breathable.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. It's helped me out quite a lot this week.